Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'm continuing on the 240SX, but instead of making, super forward progress, I'm taking a whole bunch of steps back to make the car even better because I am so disgusted with myself on how I put some of this stuff together in the first place, but I didn't know any better. That's why I've been building this car off and on for all these years. It's been like 8 years now. Because again, I've talked about it before. This project was too big to take on with the knowledge that I had, but I stuck with it, had to take a lot of breaks on it and take a bunch of steps back, but now I'm finally plowing through to get this car finished as quickly and reasonably as possible with a high degree of quality, as much as I can. So I am basically going to redo almost the entire front end. Let me explain. I've got videos from several years ago, like where I fitted the Type X kit, when the intercooler piping was made, the intercooler was mounted, blah, blah, blah. I've got all that stuff on video already. And it was kind of like a snowball. Like one thing wasn't done quite right, which led to this not being done right and this not being done right, to where everything needs to be redone. So I'm going to be redoing the intercooler piping routing. I'm going to reposition my intercooler. I'm going to put on a new front bumper and new front turn signals because nothing fit right originally. The pipes in the intercooler were positioned where we thought, me and my buddy that was helping me doing it, where we thought everything needed to be. And then when I started fitting the new front bumper and everything, the intercooler was too far forward, the pipes were routed the wrong way, and instead of fixing all of that because I didn't know what I was doing, I just hacked the front bumper and turn signals to pieces to make it work. And I guess it looked okay, but when you got up really close, you're like, oof, that's kind of rough. So I've got a new front bumper, new front turn signals, like I said. I'm going to get all that stuff redone, and it's going to fit a whole lot better, and you're not going to be able to tell from the outside that any modifications have been done. So I'm going to clean all of that stuff up, and I'm going to work on fixing the core support because it's horrible looking. I'll explain what I did and why in just a little bit, but as I've talked to you guys in the reboot of this series, if you want to call it, I'm taking steps back to be able to move forward in a good, positive, high-quality way because, pretty soon, me and my buddy Andy, we're going to start bodywork, get this thing prepped for paint, and I just want to, get it back to a rock-solid baseline and then just plow through it to the finished product. I just hit my head. But anyway, I'm just really excited. I'm probably going to ramble in some of these talking points. I very much appreciate all of your support. It really means a lot. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start tackling the front end. really is amazing just how much of a difference pushing the intercooler back made. I mean, my gosh. I had to trim like a couple little tabs off of the back of the bumper and the turn signal housings just because the intercooler and pipes physically cannot go back any further because the pipes are already, you know, barely touching the headlight motors because they're relocated down low. So it's adjusted as much as it could. I'm very happy that I didn't have to go spend money on making all new pipes. I could just modify what I have and, you know, bead roll the cut edges and stuff like that. But yeah, the bumper and everything fits amazing. Now the next thing, I showed this a little bit in one of the older episodes, but I got these brand new R32 Skyline bumper vents. Nissan's got this heritage program now for like the Skylines and some of their more iconic cars and stuff. And you know, these vents, I've seen them a lot in aftermarket bumpers, like fiberglass bumpers and whatnot, or the repops of the original Type X bumpers. But I got this OEM part. I'm going to cut it into this OEM bumper. I said I wasn't going to cut anything, but this will very much improve cooling, and I think it's going to look really neat when it's all said and done. I think you guys are going to agree. So I'm going to go ahead and get these fitted. They're a slightly different shape, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of body finessing later on, but you guys will at least get a really good idea of, you know, what it's going to look like, and I think it's going to help the car stay cooler and perform better, especially on warmer days. Now time to tackle what I've been dreading for years now, is this horrible looking core support. So I apologize, I'm filming these talking bits in different orders, so if I repeat myself, you know, it is what it is, but it's the only way I can really keep my thoughts straight on this. So I cut the core support originally because, you know, the RB25 with the 5-speed that originally came paired with the motor, like everything that came out of the Skyline, fit just fine without cutting anything or modification. But this 350Z CD009 6-speed transmission is way longer than that 5-speed. And when I was first getting everything installed, I didn't have some of the equipment that I do now. I didn't think to drop the subframe and try to, you know, position it in that way, and I really didn't have a good way of doing that. So I was just lazy and fed up, and I just cut the daggum core support, and of course that made it really, really easy. But it looks horrible. And you know, I was concerned with, you know, structural stiffness and whatnot, even though I have a ton of extra bracing in the car. So there were multiple reasons why I did it. There was also multiple reasons why I wish I wouldn't have done it. So now the time has come to fix it, and fix it good. But I still want it to be removable. It is common for people to make their core supports removable, or, you know, if they're building a drift car, they'll build like a full-on tube structure up front and whatnot, but not going to that extreme. This is a street car. But if, God forbid, the powertrain has to be pulled, this shouldn't happen, but it might, it could, who knows. I don't want to have to drop everything out from underneath. I want to be able to just pull it right out. So that's the idea for the removable core support, and it allows better access to the radiator fans and so on and so forth. So anyway, in wanting to keep it removable, I needed to undo and redo some things. So just for the temporary sake of when I first did it, I put in some nut certs and some steel bars to hold everything together, but the nut certs are not very structural, so I got rid of those. I actually made new cuts in the core support and welded, you know, a portion back together and this and that. This was my process of trying to, figure out what I wanted to do. So like I did some things and then changed it and came up with a new idea and so on and so forth. So anyway, I made these little brackets, welded some nuts underneath, real thick steel, and then I used some big old, grade 10.9 like M10 bolts to clean things up and make sure everything was super solid when it was all torqued down, so to speak. So in doing that, I can ensure that the core support itself stayed perfectly aligned like it should. That being said, because it will be removable, I wanted to add a lot of extra structural strengthening stuff in the front, because there's 3 braces that go in front of where the radiator is. The middle brace is where the hood latch attaches to, and the outside braces is what I've attached to my intercooler to. So there's a lot of weight, there's a lot of things there, some of which count for body alignment and stuff. So I want everything super strong, super rigid, so if I undo one thing, it's not going to cause another thing to move and be a bear trying to get it all lined back up, if that makes sense. If you have any questions about anything, just post it down in the comment section, and I'll try to clarify as best I can. So anyway, in making all of that, cleaned up the core support, wanting to make it removable, make it stronger, make the structure stronger. I've written some notes right here. I think that was pretty much it on that. Yeah, so strength, alignment, all good stuff. So one of my big challenges with doing all this stuff up here is not just to make everything super strong and removable and stuff, but to also make it look right. Like I said, I'm just disgusted with how everything looked before, but you live and learn. So I actually had this aftermarket 3-piece, what they call cooling panel, that's designed to cover the gap where the latch assembly and all that stuff is. So the idea is all of the air coming in through the front bumper is more or less channeled through the intercooler and the radiator. So what I ended up doing in my thought process is taking these 3 pieces and welding them into one. Now this car is obviously heavily modified. It does not have AC currently. The headlight motors have been relocated down below because of the tucked radiator and so on and so forth. So this 3-piece cooling panel had a lot of additional holes that were no longer needed. So in the process of wanting to weld the 3 pieces into one, for ease of alignment's sake, I ended up filling all the unnecessary holes as well. So once I do a little bit of body work, strip it, repaint it, and all that stuff, it'll be this really pretty 1-piece panel. The other thing too is I did not want to see the seam in the core support, because again, I don't care how strong it is, it looks like crap. So it may still look like crap to some, I don't know, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So you'll probably see in this process, I started to do some things and then I kind of changed direction and started doing something else. It was a learning process. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just kind of figured it out as I went. I ended up just making these cover plates and bent them in a similar shape that worked with the design of that cooling panel, welded it to the cooling panel, got it all fitted. I think once everything is, again, minor body worked, painted, all mounted for the last time, I think it's going to look really cool and have a certain feng shui to it. So check it out. After I remounted the hood to get everything test fitted as far as the hood pins and latching assembly, it just turned out so awesome. And I was a little creative with it too. So with these carbon fiber hoods, most of the time they're going to highly recommend that you use hood pins for additional safety. Some people don't run the factory latch, which at that point you would have to use pins so you don't have your hood fly back at you. But regardless, it's just a nice secondary safety thing, and most of these hood latches are lockable. You can get some that aren't, but the lockable adds an extra degree of security. So with this car, I wanted to use the factory latch assembly in conjunction with the arrow catch pins that I already have installed. So what I ended up doing, well, let me back up. One of the issues with using the factory hood latch, with one that was originally fitted with a steel hood, is that the spring in it can have too much tension and actually put too much strain on the latch, I guess the striker assembly, or whatever you want to call it, that's built into the carbon fiber hood. It can crack it, it can rip it out. I mean, I've seen different things. A lot of it boils down to the quality of the hood. I've got this C-bond hood. It's very, very nice, but still, you don't want to have your hood cracked, especially if you're gonna, finish it off really nice like I'm going to. So what I ended up doing, I pulled the factory spring out of the original latch assembly and I replaced it with a similar sized carburetor like throttle return spring. So like I said, similar size, but it had a whole lot less tension. I can actually grab it and pull it relatively easy. So once I got everything put in and aligned, it pops just like it would if it were a factory designed piece. The spring that I used had just enough tension to where I pop it from in here, it just goes boop, just like normal. I can attest, when I tried it with the original setup, like way early on when I first installed this hood, when I would pop it, it would be like bang. That spring just had so much tension and the hood weighs so much less, it was just like boom. And that's what can damage your hood. So now I can use the factory hood latch. Just pop up a little bit and then grab it and pull it up just like normal. And I still have the arrow catch pins, so I have double security now technically. I don't know, I'm weird. I probably could have not had the factory latch assembly and just used the arrow catch pins, but there's just something about popping the hood, going out there, pulling a little lever, raising it up. It's just, I don't know, I like it. So I made it work. And the alignment of everything looks amazing. The hood closes great. The pins are all lined up perfect. I still have to do some minor adjustments with the fenders because they're not fully on. And the front bumper, I still have to add some stuff in there just for alignment's sake. So like I said, there's things that I still have to do. But this initial test fit, amazing. I'm just so thrilled. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Obviously, I'm not quite done. I still have to make everything pretty, but there's still a bunch of things in the front end and within the engine compartment that I'm working on trying to make better and clean up. So all the stuff that I just did is probably going to have to come apart a few more times anyway, so it doesn't matter. Save the pretty stuff for later. If you haven't subscribed already, definitely do so. There's a lot more 240 content on its way. Make sure your notifications are turned on. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below because it really helps the videos a lot. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for your support. Take care.